Hi guys, welcome to season 2 of Fashionably Pernia. And I don't know what to call this episode. I'm going to say like weddings and more because it is the festive season and the best people in the wedding industry are with me. Joseph Radhik, photographer, but like very famous wedding photographer, but I do want to mention you do everything else as well.
Yeah.
Fashion, everything. And then Devika Narain, am I pronouncing it correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. The most beautiful wedding designer in the industry, according to me and a lot of people. And they happen to be a couple, which is great. And they happen to be in town at the same time, which never happens because they're always traveling for weddings. So this is really special to get them together. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
How exhausted were you both after the Ambani wedding, which both of them were a part of? I know you told me you've been shooting for like how many years for them?
It's been 2 years.
And now you finally get to have a break.
Correct.
Yeah.
There's a different time zone, I think, that my life got adjusted to. Okay, so I'd be going to bed at about 5 to 6 a.m. Okay?
Every day?
Never earlier, even on
my
a non-shoot
God.
day. So suddenly to switch back, we are both very early to bed.
Early to
and
rise.
Not
routine
necessarily early to rise,
But routine driven.
correct, very
Yeah.
routine. We didn't think we would be, but 2020 changed that within us, I think. So it's been 4 years of having a very set routine. But the last 1.5 years, that has gone completely thrown out of whack.
Haywire.
Yeah.
The wedding industry is disruptive in the sense that there's no timings, right? Obviously, you're setting up at weird times, like for you, because you're designing the event. You can't design, and sometimes you can't set up in the daytime. You have to do it in the evening.
Amusingly, even on site days, I sleep at 10:30 at night.
Really?
Yes, and my entire company, my site schedules are built around that because I think it's inhuman to continue to work the hours we do.
Yes.
And I did for the longest amount of time. And I
Yes.
think when I started my own company, that was one of the things that everyone eats on time. We all sleep on time because I think that's what leads to burnout most often.
100%.
So I'm very sure that even on site days, when I can control it, I'm in bed on time, we're waking up on time, we're feeding ourselves on time.
It's a lie, Panya.
It's a lie.
It's a lie.
The thing
Okay.
is a lie.
No, it's a 60% truth. Okay.
She
One second,
tries.
hold
She
on.
tries.
It's what I
Can we
want
put
to
it
be.
this- You want to be.
Yeah.
But reality is so we very rarely work together.
Why is that? Because all the best clients hire you.
Difference in sensibility of taste for weddings. Okay.
So she's good taste and you are?
100%. no. But
No, I think we have a different
Yeah,
kind of clientele also, like
Correct.
different kind of bride
So
that
who
hires
is your
both of
client?
us.
Who's his client?
predominantly mine would be the larger than life weddings.
Correct.
Predominantly. 75% of the weddings we do are the ones that you'd hear about in the news.
So the high profile weddings.
And just larger than life, dude.
Yeah.
And
Like,
the scale perspective for me,
Correct.
Our couples are more nuanced. They want more details. They want more personal. They want more storytelling. I think that's the big difference.
people who invest in us are ensuring that it's a risk-free service.
Oh,
because we are
100%.
known to deliver for the most critical moments. Simple. It's all the cute things come later. But if you are investing so much into a wedding, etc., that perfect moment being captured without it being missed, that's who are the people coming to us.
That's a fact because I've worked with you many times and I know that is a fact. Even your team is amazing.
On set. Okay, she'll go to bed at 10:30.
Yeah.
1 a.m. she'll get a call. 3 a.m. she'll get a
That's
call.
fine, right? I'm sleeping between those calls.
It
So
took
I am
me a
a
while to understand
champion
this.
at waking up at multiple times of the night, answering calls, answering emails, and going right back
Oh
to
my
sleep.
God. But it's good you're in the same industry because at
No,
least
it's
you're
horrible.
understanding. I don't know, but at least you're understanding
she's
of
right.
this.
Yeah,
If
I
your
suppose.
Husband
I
was
suppose.
like a very 9 to 5
Yeah.
job kind of person. He'd be like, dude, like why are
Yeah.
you getting
Aparna, the
all
last
this-
wedding we did together,
Yeah.
we were so angry with each other because I would come back to sleep and he would be leaving and something or the other way
Yeah.
around.
Yeah.
And finally, at the end of it, we were like, next wedding, we're going to take separate rooms. We don't
Do you
mind connecting
prefer
rooms.
not working together? Is it just easier?
We used to like it initially.
Yeah.
But now we prefer not working
Yeah,
together.
better to meet at
Yeah.
home and then on a nice
Correct.
holiday somewhere.
Correct.
Yeah. What sets your design sensibility apart from a lot of other people in the market is that attention to detail. Like you said, that's what your clients like. But there's something extremely elegant and nuanced and pretty about everything you do in your weddings, like design-wise. So Tanvi, who did my makeup, this question is from her. Her wedding is coming up, okay? So like, how do you go about the process? Because it's so pretty, Devika. There's a beautiful wedding in Goa with the bamboo wala mandap, those clear chairs.
Our question from the beginning is, how are people going to feel in that space? So that Goa wedding you were mentioning, I'll tell you the wacky story about that. No one ever makes it to a sunset phera, right?
Is it
And
jinxed?
It's just how it is,
Yeah,
right? And very
yeah.
few people are real about it.
Yeah.
It's me saying I have a routine on site, right? It's how you want to be. For the first time, I met a groom who was very real and said, listen, I want to dance for 3 hours. my wedding is not happening in daylight. You won't see the sea at the back. What are you going to do out of this?
Right.
What you saw on Instagram is a photograph of it. But what
Right.
I'm trying to create is the way people felt in that moment. I decided to make a career in weddings is because I actually remember the first wedding I ever went to. And I was 10 back then. And I remember how I felt that weekend at that wedding. And everything I do as part of my business and my company is to recreate that feeling for the people we work with.
Yeah,
is that
that's nice.
mindless joy, right? Is that goosebumpy feeling, just being
Yeah.
so ridiculously happy.
Failing at sunset weddings is such a thing because my sister's wedding, Joseph was there. It was in Goa. And there was a thunderstorm.
Yeah, like a proper thunderstorm.
20 minutes before they were supposed to go for the wedding. And like while we're getting ready, we just see the trees and the whole
Dancing.
thing got washed out.
I hate beach weddings.
They're hard.
They're not just hard, they're unpredictable.
Yeah.
And you don't want to get dressed and be standing on sand ever.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it just blows my mind that people continue to want to get married by the sea when the weather sucks, the sand sucks. You never make it in time to see the beautiful
Because
blue water.
like the feeling that if it happens the way you plan it,
Is
would be
optimism,
stunning.
correct.
Yeah. It's the optimism you go with. Both of you have done celebrity weddings. Like you've done Patra Lekha and Rajkumar Rao, and you've done you're like a celebrity.
I have a catalog.
You have a catalog of celebrities. I feel like it's in really poor taste to talk shit about your clients. I mean, I get it. Everybody has difficult clients, but we can talk about the good things. Like a client who was amazing. Like which celebrity client, each of you, did you just feel like, oh my God, this client was a pleasure to work with and I really enjoyed this wedding?
I don't think either of us hate on any of our clients. Is that
No,
true?
you guys don't, but other people do.
No. It's not about hate on.
So I'm saying let's talk about who was amazing. Who did you love?
You go first.
No, so I'm going to give a bit of a diplomatic answer to this one.
Okay. But do you mean it?
I do mean it because, and I would say everybody, because the one thing I always look for in a client is creative freedom. And very fortunately, all of my, I mean, of course, the rest of them do it as well, but specifically all my celebrity clients have given me incredible amounts of creative freedom, so much that I've defined the way they dress, the way their color palettes are, the way their mood is for all of those days, and I love that about them. And whether it is...
Who did you have a really good collaboration with?
We are finding it tough to answer because, firstly, I think Devika does about 6 to 8 weddings a year.
Yeah, so very less.
Into X number of events per wedding.
Right.
But at the end of the day, 6
client
couples.
is 6 clients.
Correct,
Yeah,
6 couples.
yeah.
And I photograph, like my limit is 10. After that, number 11 and number 12 have to be exceptions.
Right.
So then most of the time they will be, somebody got married 10 years ago, right? And their sister's getting married now. So I can't say no to them.
So it's like somebody you've already worked with.
I can't say no to them.
They're like family now.
Correct.
Yeah,
I literally can't say no to them.
Yeah.
Especially for me, if I'm not friends with them on set, the moments I capture will always be alien to them. Right? I need to know what they're going through. That level of empathy doesn't come just by me turning up and being a magician.
Right.
It does not, right? So I need to know what makes them tick, the little things and the big things are very obvious. The big things are what the planner writes.
Big things also are usually common to most people. You know what I mean?
See, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
13 years ago, I shot this lady's wedding in Delhi. Okay.
I know the story, so I'm laughing already.
Her name is Pernia. Okay. Okay. And somewhere along the line, okay, and day 3, at about 11 p.m., she comes running to me. The bride comes running to me.
I don't even remember this. This is my first wedding. I blocked it out.
I have a very blurred memory. Okay, I remember everything.
You remember everything.
I remember,
Oh God.
and that's a big weakness in our relationship. Okay.
It's a great strength. I don't remember anything.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't remember anything also.
No. So the bride comes up to me and says, Joe, my 90-year-old Nani is having a drink. She never drinks. You've not captured it. I'm like, how do you know I have not captured it?
Wait, Amni was having a drink?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't remember this.
No, so it's then that I was like, dude, this is a superpower. Okay. And I need to hone into this. The good part of it is we invariably become friends with our clients. Okay. I've stayed in touch with you now for 14 years. And it's outside
See,
of...
Joe, I feel like we're in touch also because my sister's in the industry. So you're good friends with her, both of you. And you work with her. Also, because we are in the creative field, we do bump into each other some way or the other. We have like similar, like paths.
But that's the thing, right? In my 30s and now in my 40s, I think I lead a very unique life. We lead a very unique life where we're constantly making a few new friends a year.
Right.
Right? All of them great acquaintances, but a few new friends. I'll tell you the story of our wedding. Our officiant was one of our clients.
Oh,
Yeah.
how sweet. You met on a wedding?
Yes.
We were brought together by clients
Yes.
saying we feel like you should be together, and by then we were already
Oh, you
dating,
were
so we were
set up by your
laughing.
client.
And I was given a warning by the groom's mother saying, if you screw this up, I will come after you.
Oh my God.
I think we spend so much time with the people we work with,
Yeah.
came obviously during the wedding, because at your most stressful time, Joe's in the room with you, right? It's when you're nervous, it's when you're truly
Yeah, you're
happy.
very vulnerable, right?
Correct. For
At
me,
that
on the
time.
other hand, as the lead up to the wedding, the few months or years, whatever it is, I'm so invested in not just the bride and groom, but also their family, their interpersonal relationships, that it's very tough to view them not as friends. Right? Which is why, because of the immense trust and faith they put into us, we understand and we sympathize and empathize when they're having their bad moments. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right? So if you yelled at me at your wedding, I'd be like, oh my God, her sister pissed her off, or like Purna does not like this, and someone did that to her. It's completely okay if she took it out on me, right?
It's never she's being such a bitch.
Okay.
Yeah.
No,
But the point is,
hear me out.
it's
But
natural,
you understand
right?
because you know what they're going through.
Correct.
Because they're not talking about me. It's just an example, okay? First of all, everyone's emotions are very
But that's the
heightened
thing.
at
The
weddings.
creative job is one of empathy.
Especially me, I'm a very bad person to ask, what do you think of X famous person? Okay. Because I do not work with these people in a professional capacity.
In a personal, very personal capacity.
100% non-professional, right? Because yes, I'm being paid to do the job, but I'm hanging out with them in their happiest moment in their lives.
Right.
At no point are their work mode,
Is
you know,
on.
it's
Yeah.
never on,
Yeah.
right? Even during portraits, I don't photograph them like a fashion shoot.
Right, of course.
Right?
It's like it's them in their personal
Yeah,
moment.
so I'm
right?
looking for pockets of light
Yeah.
because I also don't want one light guy standing there,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Then that breaks the illusion. I hear a lot of stories saying this person's very tough to work with. I'm like, mujhe to pata nahi tha. You know?
Yeah, because they're not working.
Correct.
How does it feel to be like those vendors at the wedding who everyone plans their wedding around you?
I feel very cool.
You feel cool,
I
right?
love
You're
it
like,
when
this is
someone calls me and says,
amazing.
when
Yeah.
are you available? Oh, you're not available on these dates. Okay, we'll see if these dates work out better for you. I'm just like, yes, my family doesn't do that for me, but if someone else out there is doing it for me, I love it. As people, we don't take ourselves very seriously. So when other people take us seriously, I think it throws us a bit off guard. Am I saying that honestly?
You're like, really, me?
Yeah,
You're
I'm
centered
saying-
around me?
So I get a lot of these inquiries where they
Yeah.
don't have a groom.
People contact you, say, please do my wedding,
One
but I don't
second.
have a groom.
1 second. Mothers write to me when the daughters are in school.
That's hilarious.
And both women and men reach out to me saying, when I find someone, we'll definitely get in touch with you. Or are you free by 2 years later? I think I will be getting married then. Are you seeing someone? No, but I know I'll be seeing someone by then.
It's this thing. Obviously, I have also played a part in it. I think we all do. It's this thing where, as South Asians, Indians especially, but all over the world also it exists, that you just want to get married. Because you know why? It's because of people like you, because you make it look so beautiful and you make it feel like it's going to be so amazing, which it is usually for people. And people want the events, they want the
Correct.
memories, they want the beauty, they want all that, Hence, they're not even dating somebody and they're fixing their vendors, It's
I think
crazy.
we see it as an immense honor,
Yeah.
honestly, to
Yeah.
have that kind of love for
Yeah.
us from people who don't even know us.
What are the wedding trends now, like design-wise? Like, again, Tanvi's question.
So I hate that question, by the way.
Why?
Because I'll say this back to you,
Yeah.
and your wedding is a great example of it.
Yeah.
Because I remember you as a bride. What you wore was not trendy.
Yeah.
It was classic.
I never followed
Timeless.
trends
Right?
anyway.
Timeless,
Yeah.
classic. And I feel like that's how weddings should be. We all have that one portrait of our mom and grandmom in our
classic
home, that
photo,
classic
yeah.
portrait. Spaces around them weren't a certain way because they were trendy, right? I wore my mom's lehenga at my wedding, which was 30 years later or 40 years
Right,
later.
right.
It was still classic. And I think weddings should be about that, about what is classic, what is timeless. I'm very driven currently into the idea of heirlooms or what you're passing. Or we've created some incredible spaces where we've used some fabric or some detail which their families have then kept to pass on to their children. And I feel like that is so special because in India, that is a very large part of your wedding. It's this passing down of tradition, is this doing something that is going to be forever. And I feel like that's how weddings should be.
Yeah, they should be classic.
They should be.
And it's a wedding which should look beautiful 30 years later
Correct.
also in photographs.
We were doing this incredible wedding where we designed this whole completely out of whack sort of wedding for this couple. He owns Pest Control India and his entire wedding was inspired by insects. Now, I wouldn't call it an insect-themed wedding, but literally the first time Joshua met me, he spent 2 hours talking to me about good insects and bad insects. So we had this whole insect theme thing going for them.
Insect theme, huh?
They had to postpone their wedding by 6 months. And then I sat with them like a few months before the wedding saying, guys, do you want to change something? Have your taste changed? And they're like, our wedding is so us. There's nothing we want to change about our wedding. And I think that's how your decor, your spaces, everything about
just
your
be
wedding
about
should
you.
be. Because if it is about the things you love, then you will always love those things, right?
That's
So
true.
it's not just because, I don't know, lime green lehengas are in trend, you suddenly start wearing that, or just because everyone's doing photo booths, you're doing photo booths. But if you have no value for the saxophone player or the photo booth, then why
Don't
is
do
it at your wedding? Yeah.
What's a trend you hate?
Color bombs.
Color bombs?
Yeah.
Smoke bombs.
Those smoke bombs.
Oh,
Because
when
they,
there's like the Varmala, then the thing
Correct.
goes
No, I'll
off.
tell you from a
Yeah.
photography perspective, they're the most faltu things to exist. Okay?
Why?
Okay.
Yeah.
Technically, if you're shooting slow motion video, it makes a lot of sense because firstly,
Then
those
you see the colors
dude,
disperse.
they last for 0.5 seconds. So if you're shooting like slow mo video, then that 0.5 seconds becomes 5 seconds. Okay, then you'll get actually. But in reality, कुछ नहीं दिखता है. April in Como, May in London, June in Bodrum, Turkey. 3 places where I've shot them recently.
These
All
color bombs.
Fancy places.
Yeah.
London, drizzling, couldn't see Jack. Okay. Como in the middle of the lake. Bro, Como is like the lake is there. The guests were not even looking at it. Right?
Oh, they did the color bomb in the middle of the lake.
Yes, in the middle of the lake, guests are standing here. हो गया, अरे हो गया. You know? And then Bodrum, the wind was so strong. Bride and groom are here in front of me. Color bomb went over there.
You can't really control it. That's what you mean.
Correct.
Like,
So I have
yeah.
one photo.
I know how many people get yelled at in the back just for that 1 second of like
So guys,
Jamal
no
Gay or
color
whatever.
bombs, okay?
Yeah, it's just
Clearly
like-
it's a mess. Don't do it. What about the flowers that go up?
Can I take a segue here and say
Yeah.
throwing flowers is sustainable and it's not problematic?
Why? People say that's bad?
Every time you talk about flowers in weddings, there's this whole conversation of, but it's not sustainable. Why are you throwing flowers? You're cutting
So
flowers.
tell me, how is it sustainable? I do want
Firstly,
to
there's
know
a whole
this.
industry for it. So you're actually giving people a lot of employment. Number 2, flowers decompose.
So it's natural versus confetti, which is plastic. Yeah.
There, or
yeah.
color bombs, which are actually going into the air where little birdies are flying.
Exactly,
For example, or
exactly.
fireworks, right?
Yeah.
Like flowers decompose. If you're not
Right,
spraying flowers,
right.
then it's completely fine to use them because when they're growing in a garden, also they're decomposing.
How do you, like in other ways, try and make sure that your weddings are sustainable?
We actually reverse engineer. So we put a lot of thought into where things are coming from. So where are the places we're sourcing things from, and then where they're going to at the end. For example, floral foam doesn't decompose for 500 years. So we don't use as much floral foam. Organic fabric versus poly silk fabric,
And
which
you
doesn't
reuse
decompose.
a lot of things, I'm assuming,
Yeah,
like
and
furniture and
A
fabric.
lot of people
it gets
don't
reused.
realize that most of the stuff you use for weddings is actually rented. So it all
great
gets used
because it's
multiple
being
times.
used again and again. You know, you see this really annoying wedding photographers I've seen, like where somebody will put the sindoor, they'll be like, moment miss ho gaya, phir se karo. And it's like, the whole
Well,
idea.
I don't know when you've seen it last, okay, please.
I swear, obviously not when you are doing a wedding.
No, but
other
even
people's
it's been a
weddings,
while,
People
yeah.
do, yeah, ye phir se lagao. And, all,
Really?
and it's like the couple is trying to have a moment. And it is also an auspicious moment because there is like, religion involved in most of these weddings. And it's like, you're telling them to do it again. It's so
I think the
weird.
bigger picture is that you should not tell them to do anything. You know, there are like 4 or 5 pivotal moments during an Indian wedding. Even if things are screwing up, it's okay. It's okay. Like the number of times I've shot a Mangal Sutram. So in a Telugu wedding, the
Right.
bride's sitting on the floor and the groom is bending over and tying the Mangal Sutram.
How short is the bride?
Maybe
She's
they're sitting on the
sitting.
floor, yeah. Okay. What happens is the groom's wearing this sherwani type scene with a dupatta, right?
Yeah.
That dupatta falls here
Right.
in between them.
Oh, huh.
It's okay if you can't see it. He's able to see her now. God willing, it's going to happen once or twice in their entire life. The tying of the Mangal Sutra, right?
Right.
Just keep it sacrosanct.
Yeah, and if
Right.
the sindoor goes all
He
over
remembers
your
it
nose
now.
and all.
Yeah, but he remembers it. It's
Yeah.
fine. She remembers that that is the guy who tied it.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
You know,
It's hilarious.
but there's so many things. Even during a Varmala, right? There'll be an over-enthusiastic aunt
Yeah.
who'll get in, right?
Yeah.
It's okay. Let her be there. Kuch
Acha,
farak
acha, yeah, you're like afraid se hato now. You don't say that. You say afraid mein raho. Just jo karna karo.
I'll move around you.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like even this most recently, Radhika and Anand's wedding, okay? If you see my photo of the Varmala, it's this totally chaotic Varmala, firstly, okay, where the groom is lifted by the friends.
Yeah,
and,
I've seen it,
Okay,
I've
and
seen
the bride's like backing
Yeah.
off and so on. But there's like, you can
There's-
see
there's
in
a-
every single face there's an expression of mirth and mischief and shock. Okay,
Yeah.
one of those is like, and so
Yeah,
on. Okay,
yeah.
my take is in that entire room, I think there would have been about 15-20 of us, photographers.
Yeah.
Okay. If you get into this thing of you need to be in control of the situation, you won't be flexible to that situation. Right? You won't be fluid. I'm the only one who basically moved there, stuck my camera and got the shot, walked away. 2,000 people in the room, they didn't see the Varmala.
Exactly. 'cause there
If
are
you
too
see
many-
it on
too
the
many
live
people.
cameras and the
Yeah.
wides, no,
Yeah.
you will see that basically there are 30 friends around. So you either have to be that friend
Yeah.
You know who gets in or you can't see it. Don't
It's
interfere.
also this documentary perspective, right?
Yes. What I think Joseph did differently, he shot weddings like a documentary from an outside perspective, and everybody was going about their business, and he was just capturing real moments.
I must say, in the last few years, it's completely turned on its head, and I'm starting to laugh at the general reactions of the internet.
Meaning?
So the next celebrity wedding that happens, or every celebrity wedding that I post, right? I know that my process hasn't changed at all.
Yeah.
Okay. So everyone's now wondering why are these people so happy at their weddings?
I don't know what you mean by that.
As in,
Is everyone smiling, right? Like most people do at their
So they
weddings.
think
They're
they're
happy.
faking it.
Yeah.
yes.
They think celebrities
They think that I am directing
celebrities
this.
are faking being happy.
No, he is forcing them to look
That I am
happy
telling them to
so
do
he
so.
can get that shot in.
And I'm like,
Oh.
dude, all you have to do is hang around. You're gonna get it anyway.
Oh, hilarious.
Yeah, but I take it as a massive compliment that I've done my job so well. Now they think that I'm faking
It's fake.
With no background on the couple, right? Like at their engagement, like I had a friend just get married.
Yeah.
And the photographer kept telling them to kiss each other and to hold each other. You just met the other person, or you just like possibly started dating
Oh,
them.
it's an
Or
arranged marriage situation.
even if
So
it's not,
awkward,
right? Or there's
yeah.
family in front. You don't want to be like
Yeah.
physically intimate in front of like 100 people in the room,
Yeah.
right? And I find that so awkward because I'm so used to him.
Yeah.
Right? But to get people to do
See,
certain
people
things.
are doing this already. कि मैम थोड़ा हाथ डालो ना.
I know.
Waist में हाथ डालो ना.
और उनके आंखों में
It
देखो
happens.
is such a weird
Yeah,
sentence
yeah,
to
yeah.
say.
And
No,
then-
firstly, you don't look into each other's
What
eyes
about
at all.
the bridal portraits that are like,
Yeah. But in general, though, I've realized that, like, I think the average view of the Indian wedding is quite cynical, especially since in the last 10 years when it has blown up to be such a spectacle.
what do you mean it's cynical?
The average person is like, oh, rich people will do things like this only. This is all manufactured.
It's all fake.
I think it's lovely that there's a few of us who get to experience it. And second, that we see real emotion so many times in a year. Even if I'm only shooting 10 couples a year, I still get to see 50 great events where friends are coming back after a decade. There's this other story of two families getting to know each other. So there are new friendships being formed during those days.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
While they're trying to solve problems together.
Right.
Whether or not wo safa wala late ho gaya, DJ is not playing the
Yeah,
right
yeah.
songs, whatever it is, they're all figuring out things together, right? So I think it's an incredibly blessed job to have. Top 10 best jobs in the world.
And I
Really?
recently
100%.
I want to know about awkward situations. Have you been stuck in a wedding in an awkward situation? Been like, can I just be removed from here? It's awkward because people do fight.
I've been in a lot of those simply
Yeah.
because you're with families, with
Yeah.
couples, with and like Joe said, they're all navigating the situation, right? You know, it's like throwing a bunch of people who have complementary personalities or opposing personalities at
Together.
one
Yeah.
problem-solving task.
10 years ago, we did a wedding together
Yeah.
where the bride lost her bridal lehenga.
How do
Yeah,
you lose
yeah.
your bridal lehenga?
They checked into the hotel that morning
Yeah.
or the day before. All the baggage had been sent to all the rooms.
Yeah.
And I get a call from the makeup artist. I don't know what the story is leading to. I'm just telling the story.
Yeah.
Saying, can you please come up? And I walked into her room and she's just bawling. And I'm just like, why don't you wear your reception saree? And she's like, but I want that lehenga. Sorry, I don't know what the story is leading up to.
No,
the
nothing. It's
awkward
a happy
moment.
story.
Oh, that's
At the end of the day, she got happy.
Yeah, she got her
and-
lehenga finally.
yeah.
It was in her brother's room. It went the confused sabya boxes. I don't know how you confuse a sabya box.
That's a first world problem.
Father was shouting because he's like, the event is running late. How can you do this? A mother was like, just wear any sari now. Like come on. Like if you can't find it, you can't find it, right? But it was hilarious
Oh
to
my
just be in that
God.
room
I'm just glad she found it.
and Otis was doing her makeup and Otis is just like, I've done it twice. I'm
Otis
not
is the
doing
drama
it.
queen
You
first.
paid me for one makeup. I've done it twice, babe. Now if I do it third time, you have to pay me for the
But
third time.
it was one of the most incredible weddings I've been at.
Crazy,
but
yeah.
in that moment, in that room, you were just like, what to do?
Chaos. Yeah. When you guys got married, who took the photos and who designed the wedding?
She designed the wedding.
I was going to say no one designed the wedding.
You designed the wedding.
So Joe's terms were when we got married.
He had terms.
I had terms.
Yeah. So what were your terms for your wedding?
I asked Devika, let's put together a budget, right? Including paying for venues, etc. But let us try and see if we can take out if whatever wastefulness is there in that, if we can take it out and look at either putting it into a trust, donating it, or putting it towards some useful cause instead of spending it on extremely other privileged people, right? who their lives are not going to get changed.
Yeah,
Right? So that's it. Like leave the madness out of it.
Yeah.
Right? So Devika spoke to her uncle who has a farm on the outskirts of Lucknow. And so that's where the wedding was. One of the fun things we did is the wedding ceremony was on day one. It was the first event.
So you got that over and done
We
with.
got it over with because Firstly, inter-religion wedding, more like inter-culture. So our take was that if both of us want to hang out and be nasty in front of people, right, we should be, because nobody should be able to say you two are not married yet.
Yeah.
Like day one, just get the wedding out of the way.
Right.
We also wanted fewer people at the wedding.
Correct.
Yeah.
So it made
So
it
you
easier.
designed it.
Leading up to, nobody designed it.
Yeah, it was.
You were easy
It was
about it.
minimally
Who
designed.
took the photos?
So a couple from Canada, from Calgary,
Oh, you've
Canada.
imported. You don't want to spend on your wedding, but you called a couple from Canada to shoot the wedding.
So there are only two things I spent at my wedding: photography and my suit. Okay, I was very keen on having a proper bespoke suit.
Who was your suit by?
Xenia.
Xenia
Yeah,
suit. Your
okay.
Xenia suit and your couple from Canada who shot the wedding were your two.
I feel like he simplified this. What we did do brilliantly was put down a list of things that mattered to us.
Yeah, that's
at our
cute.
wedding.
I think that's a good idea.
I think
Yes.
we spend the most on our wedding on the food.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if the food is bad at your wedding, everybody hates you. They don't care if anything else was nice. The second was we wanted people to be together. So we had our families and literally friends I've known for 25 years were at my wedding. And I think just people having fun was far more important than what the flowers were or what the entertainment was, whatever. I wanted to elope.
You want to elope?
Yeah, I
I
wanted-
think I guess you do this so much. Eloping
Correct.
sounds
And
more exciting.
I actually wanted a surprise wedding, which was
Yeah.
my intent, that we go for a picnic and we're like, oh, we're getting married in the middle
Oh
of
yeah,
this.
yeah. A lot of Hollywood celebrities do that.
Yeah, so we wanted to do a version of that because my parents were like, absolutely not,
Yeah.
you're not doing this. So we got married literally in a field of mustard.
Beautiful.
We grew
DDLG.
the mustard was grown in a wheat field for us.
You grew mustard,
Yeah.
so it would look beautiful and you can get married. In
We
it?
wanted lavender,
it?
but you can't grow lavender in India, so we had to do with mustard. We had one of our friends officiate us, friends/clients officiate us. We forgot centerpieces. So while I was getting dressed, someone from my team called up and said, Devika, did you plan centerpieces? And I was like, oops, I forgot. So we bought like potted plants and put them down the centers of the tables.
Cute.
So there was no design.
So photo and video wise, photography was done by a husband and wife team called Two Man Studios.
Also friends of ours.
Easily the most decorated and awarded wedding photography studio in the world.
Oh wow.
Period. They're, I would say, a photographer's photographer.
What is a photographer's photographer?
So the things that not even a nerd, a fan of the genre would enjoy, right? So composition, timing, like that incredibly timed photograph. I would say I'm like 20% of what Erica and Lani are capable of at a wedding.
Are you serious?
I'm serious, okay? Because I am always going for as many happy little moments as possible, right? Whereas those two are chasing that perfect moment. I keep telling them this, okay? Like unicorns, dragons, rainbows, everything comes together to make that one shot.
That's
okay. So
amazing.
whereas I would be the guy who would give 100 happy photos,
Yeah.
they'd give that one incredible photo. It's also a very unplugged style, which means that they don't pose you at all. There is no portrait session at all throughout the day. Looking back, I feel like we should have hired somebody else to do that.
Portraits.
Right? Because today I recognize the importance of it.
Why?
Back then
Why
I
are
did.
portraits so important?
Don't-
I don't like portraits.
No, it's simple.
I like all the real moments better.
Fair enough.
What
but
you
there is
frame at home as your portrait.
not necessarily. Wait one sec. Devika lost a lot of weight for her wedding. Okay.
Yeah.
And I lost a lot of weight for my wedding. We
I mean,
both
the
came
same
to our
wedding.
yes.
The same-
Okay. We looked bloody good, if I may say so myself.
Yeah.
Right. We were wearing really nice
It's
clothes.
the only time in my life I had makeup on my face and lots of it.
You just want to crystallize that.
The reason I would choose portraits over candids is because in my home, I only have portraits framed.
But if you recognize, so Erica and Lani did such a good job.
Yeah.
We didn't recognize it then, but today when I go to the Lucknow home, there's large prints of our wedding photos. Okay, in her Delhi home, there are prints, and they're all moments.
But I remember calling Erica, I think 8 months after my wedding, saying, I didn't think it was possible, but you captured my grandmom's love for me and my love for her.
That's so sweet.
And it is
Yeah.
incredible. And I was like, both of us are at so much peace because every time I look at that photo, like we knew we were there for each other. And that photograph is priceless. There's an incredible one of him and his grandmom.
Yeah, there's of my grandmother praying for me before I walked
Oh,
on the
that's
oil.
so sweet, yeah.
Then there's one of my parents hugging me, okay, which to date is like my favorite photo of the three of us. I'm not visible in it because when you're hugging, just my back, but they're both like a huge smile
That's
face
so
are there,
cute,
right?
yeah.
The other thing we had about video was
When I tell about my favorite wedding photo.
Okay, go for it.
My favorite photo of my wedding, you can't see our faces, it's our back. And everybody we love sitting in front. Like you can zoom in and see everyone's
That's
faces.
so cute,
And that is
yeah.
the only wedding photograph in my house that I've framed.
For video, we had a very different brief.
Yeah.
Okay, neither of us wanted to do an interview. We didn't want to talk to camera.
Acha, so what did you want to do?
In my view, the perfect wedding film, right, should be one that again, just like the photography, you should have
Moments.
zero interference with the interaction with the camera. And from a filmmaking point of view, you literally, it's a found footage film. It's not a directed film. It's all made in post. Okay.
So it's just edited. It's just like somebody's documenting what
Somebody's
happened.
documenting
Yeah.
it, not just in terms of the camera, but also in terms of the sound. Like perfect sound. Because it's those little conversations that you will forget. One day later also you won't remember you had it.
That's
right?
true.
But if I can remember a conversation that happened 20 years ago during my wedding, that's awesome. That's like
That's true,
that's
actually.
superpower, right?
That's true.
So there's a common friend of ours. He started cinematography, wedding cinematography with me. Proper filmmaker, Sohail Ali.
Sohail Ali.
Sohail
So
Ali.
he shoots like this.
He shoots like this. He runs
Yeah.
a very small boutique house called Chai Productions.
You think we are niche, she's more niche.
He's the
than we
niche
are.
of niche. Okay,
Yeah.
he does probably one wedding a year.
Correct.
And I'm not
How
even
does he run a
joking.
business then?
He doesn't.
Badly.
How does he run a business? Badly.
But his films, every time I watch my wedding film, and I do it frequently now,
That is the surprise.
I hear a new conversation.
That's amazing.
but
Because
that
he's
is-
got live sound.
That's amazing.
So when my haldi is happening and my sisters are holding each other above me, all of them are having conversations, and I can hear that conversation in my wedding video. When Joe's being welcomed by my family, that little conversation there is part of my film.
Yeah.
And I wasn't there for that moment, obviously,
Right.
because I was whatever. But like I have the memory of that conversation, and that's what I miss the most
The
about
thing is-
wedding films today.
50% of filmmaking, not wedding films, 50% of filmmaking is sound. Because that's what is driving the story forward. Dialogue, environmental sounds, and everything
Right,
else,
right.
right? The cinematography itself can be very boring.
Farnia, I am an absolute perfectionist and I can't tolerate something out of place. I had 0 edits, 0 revisions for our wedding film.
Yeah.
I need to see this wedding
It
film.
was,
It's 19 minutes long.
Yeah.
That's all.
That sounds amazing.
but I had like, I have never,
We don't have a trailer.
Is it on YouTube?
No.
no.
Can you put it up? Can we see it?
No, so
let's
it's
see
been
it.
a debate.
Give Sohail some business.
Dude, he
Give
doesn't
Lord,
want it.
he doesn't want the
He doesn't
business.
want it.
What people do with wedding films is they want to do the interviews, they want to capture life before and after. I was like, I just wanted to capture those days.
Those days.
Yeah.
Those days, and he's done a brilliant job at capturing those 3 days because they are by far one of the best days of my life, and he's got that spot on.
When you guys were doing the Ambani wedding, Anant's and Radhika's wedding, I want to know because the events in Jamnagar, they were exceptionally beautiful. Like, I thought they were really pretty. Like those tents and like, I don't know what you did. They're just so pretty. I saw some tent which was, I guess, inspired by Vantara. But
Correct.
It felt like you
That's
were
nice.
on the English countryside. I don't know. It felt like it was from a different world. I thought I was in like Indian Bridgerton. Like, I mean, I wasn't there, but I thought I was seeing Indian Bridgerton. I don't know what it was. It was so stunning. Like, what goes into making
Do
something
you know
like that?
everything in that tent was 100% custom made? And there's a joke in my team because someone else sketched the pattern, someone else printed it, someone third person embroidered it, fourth person stitched
How
it,
long
fifth
did
person.
this take?
We put everything together in 65 days from the first phone call to the event, which was madness.
What?
But just
That's like welcome to India. Like,
Correct.
that's why I love India. Like,
Everything
imagine
was-
everything is custom to that level.
and everything
in
was
65
handmade.
days.
No machine touched anything except for like stitching table covers. Firstly, we had an incredible brief,
Yeah.
followed by incredible creative freedom. And both those things are very rare to find as a combination. If you want to know how you can have a beautiful wedding, that's a combination.
Incredible brief and then incredible
Creative freedom and trust.
Yeah.
And I have to commend the family and their consultants and their teams on this. They do an exceptional job of that. They know what a person does well, and they're there to
Then
encourage
we
that
let
in
them
you.
do it.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Otherwise, they're not hiring them.
And did you sleep those 65 days?
Absolutely not.
You didn't sleep for 65
Not
days while
at
putting it up because
all.
it was just crazy.
Forget me, no one on that team slept for those
Because it's a
65
lot of
days.
work.
But the joy that project has given me,
Yeah.
I have so far have not felt that, because to watch that come together in that time frame and just the way it all came together with the brilliance it came together.
When Isha and Akash got married in 2017, 2019, 2018, 2019, right? The world didn't see much of it. I think from Isha's wedding, there are 3 photos online total. And from Akash's, there's 1.
Oh, okay.
That's how few there is of both of those weddings. So Jamnagar was the first time the country and the world were getting to see a little bit of the magic of that wedding.
What goes on, yeah.
What goes on, right? And honestly, out of the many events that they've had, Jamnagar still stands out for me.
The most busy people in the wedding industry. What does the year look like for you now?
Exciting and very hectic.
Like a lot of work coming up?
I think weddings in India starts now, August onwards. So
yeah, September, October,
we've
November,
just
crazy.
finished one of the biggest weddings, and we're going head on into the coming season.
How do you relax after like a crazy big wedding?
Especially me, I lead a very retired life when I'm not shooting weddings. Okay. So once in a while, a spark comes off where I'll actually go out. Like this podcast is probably one of 10 activities that I'll do in the entire year.
Yeah,
That
it's a
is
very
just
social thing he's done, but he's
10
come here.
Yeah, literally. So I don't go out shopping.
Yeah.
Okay. Things I don't do. I have like going out to a restaurant together for us is probably
Once
once
a
or
year.
twice a year
Right.
in Bombay, because when we're traveling, yeah, we'll go. You
Yeah,
know?
exactly.
And we're also
So my
both
life is
homebodies.
taking my dog for a walk 2 to 4 times a day, right? Gaming and waiting for Devika to come home.
It's so lovely being home when you don't get to be home that much.
No, I was going to say, I think that changed for us in 2020.
2020.
Yeah.
You realize how amazing it is to be home.
We got a dog. And now we don't want to be anywhere else except for be with him.
Yeah, it's like having a child.
Yeah.
But one that doesn't talk back to
Yeah.
you, so it's fine.
I too love my talking child. It's awesome. It's awesome.
I'm going to circle back to that question of yours of, who are your favorite celeb
Yeah,
clients?
thank you. Yeah, yeah.
Devika gave an extremely diplomatic answer. I'm going to add a little bit of layer to it by the fact that I think successful people really like people with conviction. Confidence and conviction are completely different things. Okay.
Okay.
Confidence is the ability to go into a room and start talking.
Right.
It's all those
Right.
things. Conviction is to get a group of people to agree to one thing because you are so convinced about it. So the number of times, where I've walked into a wedding meeting where everything's already finalized. Ki bride is going to walk down this way.
They've decided.
Mandap yahan hone wala hai
हाँ.
and is samay hone wala hai, right? And I'm like, no, can't be done. Because the light won't be right, because the shadows won't be right. So the number of all the sunset portraits that you see on my feed, and
It's because of your like.
it's a lot of fighting.
Yeah.
Planners hate us.
Yeah, dude, I have changed an entire mandap ka location.
Kiska?
I have. I can't.
You said now to circle. You said circling back to celebrity
Okay, no.
weddings.
So let me talk about PC and Nick's wedding. Priyanka and Nick were incredible people to work with.
How so?
Nick was so involved.
That's
man.
maybe an American thing.
I love a groom who's involved in his own wedding.
Yeah.
I rarely get to see that.
Right.
The groom usually takes a backseat and he's like, you take care of it. This Nick was the leader of the conversation. He was also the guy who ensured that all the vendors in the room got along with each other, and he was the problem-solving kind of guy.
Okay.
Right? It was so nice to see. She had 2 weddings, a
Right.
Christian wedding and a Hindu wedding, right? If they went by the initial plan, they wouldn't have had a sunset wedding. Because what would typically happen is you would have the white wedding in the morning and the Hindu wedding in the evening, and you know how much time it takes for a bride to change.
Right.
Right? Which means that golden hour is wiped
Yeah,
out.
whole day is gone. Yeah.
So we got to change the entire wedding to ensure that the white wedding happened during sunset. Portraits of the Hindu wedding happened during sunset, right? And the final Hindu wedding happened,
So
at
you're
night.
like, guys, I am making your schedule and you please follow it.
What the world sees of your wedding is only the photos. It's how you felt, what Devika constantly keeps talking about,
The
how you
feeling.
feel like,
Yeah.
is only the 100 people at the wedding are privy to it. The 100 million outside who are going to see that, that's only seen in the photos. At least that little bit of manufacturing I think is allowed, but the mandap change is still my biggest victory, by the way. I will
You're
not
like,
tell you.
I
who.
changed Priyanka Chopra's mandap.
No, I didn't change Priyanka Chopra's mandap. This is somebody else.
But that's somebody else.
Yes.
Tell us who.
No, it's fine.
Should I just throw names? Patra Lekha, Katrina.
No. Kat's wedding was very nice. Yeah.
It was nice.
Yeah,
it was super
very-
secretive.
She was one of those brides who had a very clear vision of how her wedding would be. Vicky was just happy to be getting married to Katrina. Okay, there's this one photo I have of her walking towards the mandap. It has the arch of Six Senses Barbar, right? And of her walking down and then up this aisle where he's waiting for her at the other end. It's just everything is just perfect. I don't think again. So it comes also from brides who know so much. They themselves have that self-conviction to say that, listen, you might be a wedding planner, but I have been on many, many sets.
I have been a bride in 20 films.
Yeah.
So I know.
It really takes that level of like that self-confidence to say that, hey, I know this, let me deal with this.
Yeah.
And I think it's great to work with such people. We are still the only wedding photography company of this scale who only does photo. We don't do video at all.
Oh yeah. I made you shoot one of my dance performances.
Correct.
Once, many
But
years
that wasn't
ago.
a wedding.
That's-
Yeah.
we
It was
don't
quite
do-
beautiful actually.
We do
So why
do-
don't you do it?
So there's a reason for it is because my wedding photo delivery time is like between the 30 to 40 day limit. Okay.
That's quite soon.
Yeah, but it finishes then. So I get to have at the end of that 45, 50 day limit, I then get to call you up and say, let's go out for a coffee. All conversation has nothing to do with work after that, right? But if I start doing video, that relationship completely changes. It's now stretched to 150, 180 days. I don't want to drag the transaction for so long.
That's the only reason?
That's literally the only reason.
But you could do it really well, and that could be also
You can't do it really quickly. That's the thing. Filmmaking doesn't happen like that.
So do you copyright all your designs?
No.
Everything you make, do they belong to you?
They
That's
belong
important.
to me. They belong to me, yes, but they're not legally copyrighted.
So what do you do about people copying you?
I let them do it.
You let them
I
do
make
it.
new things.
Wedding designers have taken full sets and just moved from wedding A to wedding B. I have attended.
I also only do 8 weddings a year. So if I
Right.
have to keep repeating in those 8 weddings, and where is my creative license and liberty, right?
Yeah.
I want every single one of my projects to look drastically different. I enjoy the process of it, so I want to invest in that. Now, whether people copy it, whether people trash it, is
That's
of no
not your problem
consequence.
anymore,
Yeah.
basically.
14 years ago, when I started wedding photography, this industry didn't exist. The very fact that I'm sitting here and talking to you, right, is validation itself.
Yeah.
And I think within the first 15 days of me quitting my job, I was on CNN IBN.
Yeah.
So they're like, I am grad quits to become wedding photographer. If all that media exposure didn't happen within the first 15 days, which I did not plan for, I would have been a happy wedding photographer today, right? But I'm also willing to bet, and I'm going to sound very modest when I say this, that the industry might not have changed that much. Within my first year, I had shot a very big Delhi wedding, very big Hyderabad wedding, the GVK wedding, right? Very big Bombay wedding where the whole of South Bombay knew me. And I shot Allu Arjun and Ram Charan's wedding, 2 big superstars down south. All this in my first 11 months.
Wow. That's crazy.
And I did not predict this.
So
I didn't even
right
know.
place, right time, and I don't know.
Absolutely.
Good work and good word of mouth, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything came together, right? And from then on, life has completely changed.
Did you do any design school, or did you?
Nothing.
You're 2 self-taught, like basically pioneers in the
She
wedding
takes a lot of
industry.
good classes also, by the way.
What do you teach in your classes?
So no design school teaches you how to design wedding spaces or temporary
Yeah,
wedding
why
spaces
though? Yeah.
because it's not considered a serious medium. The fact that I was taking an interior designer or an architect, the way they charge, take a fee versus not everything else. I think today, 10 years later, and it is almost 10 years of me starting out as well, I'm so thrilled at the people who are only wedding designers today.
Literally in June, I met a very renowned photojournalist who said the words, "Don't kid yourself, Joe. You're not making art."
The photography industry looks down on wedding photography.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Even now?
We have so many design shows, conferences, awards in India now.
Correct.
Tell me a single one that awards, rewards, calls on wedding designers to talk about spaces.
And
And
this is-
we just spoke about a wedding space where everything was 100% custom done.
The one you did for the
tents.
Ambani
Yeah.
wedding.
the photo festivals internationally, there is no category for weddings.
So do it. You start your own.
We did. My last one that we did in 2019 had 2,500 photographers.
Wow.
Our keynote speaker was Pete Souza from
Yeah,
the
so you
US.
created it. It doesn't exist, so you created it. That's
We had to.
amazing. That's what you have to do, yeah.
The glass half full way of looking at this is we are still in the infancy of these industries.
But that's exciting because there's a long
Yeah.
way to go, and you've obviously been a part of making this into like legitimate business.
I feel like weddings, especially in India, are a great lens to look at the history of the country via. And in 2020, I was doing a lot of research on how weddings have changed, how weddings happened during times of war, how they happened during the Depression in India, or different circumstances. And I feel like it should be taken more seriously because I can't imagine a more accurate portrayal of life in India if it's not through the
It's the
wedding
best
lens.
commentary on culture.
Correct.
Right? Of a particular place and a particular time.
Anthropology, fashion, spaces,
Yeah, you're so right.
relationships.
You're so right.
It brings every aspect of it together in one space. There are very few intersections like this.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Such a nice chat.
Oh,
Cheers.
cheers.
We're all drinking different things, by the way.